Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
New in the issue over an Ohio University English professor accused of sexual misconduct. A letter from Provost Pam Benoit refers to the Dr. Andrew Escobedo case in the interim president. Good evening, I'm Mackenzie Pyatt. Thanks for joining us. In the letter, Benoit recommends Escobedo be detenured as described in faculty handbook procedures. Benoit says that a majority of faculty agree he should face serious sanctions. Escobedo was accused of sexual misconduct against 6 individuals. An Ohio University professor is back teaching this semester after being put on paid administrative leave for a domestic dispute with an OU student. Last April, Associate Professor Keith Markman was charged with assault and illegal entry into the home of a student who was his former girlfriend. Markman accepted a plea agreement in June that resulted in a reduction of his charges. Markman's paid leave ended in October, and now he's back on campus. In a statement, an OU spokeswoman says the university took appropriate action to ensure Markman is committed to not repeating the conduct. Changes might be on the way for Park Place Boulevard on OU's campus. 3 strategy planning workshops have been held to discuss the future of the area. Newswatch reporter Jacob Solleather attended last night's workshop to hear what some people have to say.
It really is right now kind of dangerous with the amount of student pedestrian traffic and all of this traffic in every direction.
Brad Cohen is the Senior Vice Provost for Instructional Innovation at Ohio University. His job is to make the community and environment better for students and faculty. Cohen's goal is to open the area up for students, but one of his concerns is sustaining a safe place for the community.
Yeah, I really don't think anyone is proposing a full shutdown of Park Place. I know it's been floated, but one of our core principles that we're testing is really that it needs to be open, at least for emergency vehicles.
The goal of this workshop was to receive input from campus and community members on what ought to happen to Park Place Boulevard. University planner Shanna Bolin led the conversation and says the group will not begin the process until it starts to receive feedback.
So we want to hear what the faculty, staff, the city, the community, the students think.
And they are getting feedback.
With 800 responses, 50% of them were students, and for the most part it's the students that are crossing east and west along that corridor.
Many of those comments deal with the number of vehicles and pedestrians crossing the street, especially on the ends of the street. Mayor Steve Patterson says the street needs to be made safer, but safety should include both pedestrians and those who live there.
I always have to keep in mind safety services for the city to be able to get our fire crews in through there, because we do still have a resident who lives on Park Place.
He says he opposes the idea of closing the street to vehicles.
I think it should be opened, to the public. I don't think it should be a campus-centric space, although it is kind of in the center of the College Green area.
Some students say they favor limiting the streets to pedestrians only, but also realize the inconvenience that would cause for drivers.
I think it would be nice for the intersection on the end of it, at the top of Morton Hill, because it'd clear that up. It's kind of a mess to drive through, but at the same time, I can see the value of being able to drive through there.
The discussion last night seemed to favor some compromise of limiting, but not entirely restricting vehicles from the street.
Thanks, Jacob. Comments are also being gathered through an online survey that's open through March 15th. Students, staff, faculty, and the community can fill it out to provide feedback and suggestions. The 4 Athens elementary schools could eventually be merged into one large mega school, but nearly 400 Athens residents are petitioning the city to scrap the plan and keep the schools separated. The petition states the consolidation of the schools could have a negative impact on both in and out of the classroom. Signs being distributed through town refer to the proposed building as a mega school and say all kids deserve small schools. The mega school option is one of the top 3 options the facilities steering committee suggested. The 3 options include 1 1,300 student campus, 2 652 student campuses, or 2 separate campuses for pre-K through 2nd grade and 3rd through 5th grade. Mayor Steve Patterson spoke about one benefit of a mega elementary school yesterday.
There's a sense out there that the educational experience at the different schools can be influenced by one's social economic status, how much money they make, and And so by combining them together, it mitigates that to some degree. So.
Mayor Patterson also said the expense of transportation and having multiple administrations for every building is why having one elementary school makes sense.
From the Newswatch Weather Center, I'm Matt Thigpen. We hit 71 degrees for our high today. We just cooled down to 70 degrees right now in Athens. See that southerly wind keep pumping that warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico at 5 miles per hour. That dew point at 54 degrees is fairly high for February. Across our region, 68 down in Ironton, 70 over in Ripley in West Virginia, 71 in Chillicothe, state's capital, 67 degrees in Columbus. Newark is our cooler spot tonight, 64 degrees. Tonight we'll cool down to 53 degrees, partly cloudy skies. We'll get a chance for a stray shower, mainly to our north and west during counties, before we experience some severe weather coming to our region. Well, I'll talk about that later in my extended forecast, but tonight we're going to be nice and mild, so it'll be a great day to go on a walk out by the river, or if you're just going out to shop, go to the grocery or something before the weekend. Mackenzie?
Thanks, Matt.
These students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
The student body here at Ohio University absolutely is a family.
The students support one another.
You become this unit, this big, friendly family unit.
There's this connectedness.
You feel a part of something.
Driving in on the highway and just seeing the red bricks and the trees again, it's just like coming back home.
There's great students, great professors.
You just walk around campus and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go here.
I feel like I matter in the community, and I feel like I matter here at Ohio University.
It's home. Athens is home.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, this is it. And she said, the tour's just started. I said, no, you don't understand. This is it.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Eric III, the host of Hardwood Heroes. You should watch our program Sundays at 11 o'clock p.m. Any important and relevant information you need about Southeast Ohio high school basketball, we have. During the week, keep up with our online content at woub.org/heroes. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Hardwood Heroes. You can follow your boy as well at junior_3. As always, I'm Eric III, reminding you to be heroic.
It's been 2 years since a fire destroyed 5 buildings on West Union Street, and some of the barricades are still up. Most of the buildings are back open, but there's more work to be done. Newswatch reporter Kaylee Bowers tells us what's next for West Union.
I got a call about, it must have been about 6 in the morning. Came uptown and, by 2 blocks away, just looked like, still dark. Just see the flames and looked like a tornado of black smoke, and pieces of char were landing as far away as Casa. That was the day of the fire, and from then on it just sort of started the whole process of, first finding out if the building was still structurally sound, and then what it was going to entail to get us back open.
From there, Union Street entered a phase of rebuilding and rebirth. Some began thinking of new ideas to help the street rise from the ashes.
It was the Phoenix portion of the fire on West Union. It was time to do something new.
The plans for a Union Street Plaza were born last spring when Mayor Steve Patterson presented the idea to City Council. The mayor says the plans were met with early opposition because they cut parking spaces and permanently closed one lane of West Union.
So we started rethinking it.
And the city came up with this plan. The street would have its plaza and 2 lanes of traffic with parking on both sides. To make that happen, the travel lanes would be narrowed to 11 feet. That's 3 feet less for each lane. But it turns out that's an average width for a local city street. The sidewalk will include brickwork and curb bump outs on both sides of the street.
You don't get up in the morning and, comb half your hair or put half your makeup on, right? So we thought, well, we're going to just make this to where we're enhancing the features on both the north and the south side.
The plaza will soon replace the Union Street fences with features like trees, park benches, solar power compacting trash bins, bike racks, park mobile, and compact car parking. The total cost will be around $160,000, but the mayor says it'll be worth it.
It was an opportunity. Being behind those construction fences for so long, and before that, the burn barriers as they were investigating what had happened in the fire-affected area, to me, it just opened an opportunity.
It's totally detrimental to business in Athens.
Andrew Lampola is co-owner of Hoffa's Record Store across the street from the burned-out buildings.
You can't just slap a plaza somewhere. It's as if he went from step 1 to step 5 without considering the ones in between. And, like I said, he's got great intentions, but I don't think the planning was laid out properly on this one.
Lampola says Union Street is a main route through town, and since the road closed, there have been many problems.
I've seen ambulances get stuck out here, traffic backed up down the hill.
And there's going to be some growing pains, right? Not everyone understands Park Mobile completely and how you use it. This will be one of the first streets that are painted with the share road symbol. People will have to learn you do have to share the road with these bicycles that'll be riding through there.
But before the first brick of the plaza can be laid, the last of the buildings need to be finished. Guy Phillips is the co-owner of 16 and 15 and a half West Union Street. He says keeping the original building fronts was a costly move, but there's a reason he wanted to preserve the history.
We knew our project was always going to take the longest because it's in the middle. Rebuilding this building is hugely expensive, and we went to great lengths to rebuild using the original facade. That way we qualified for a small tax credit from the state of Ohio.
What Phillips is talking about is the Ohio Historic Tax Credit Program. It's a competitive program to help cover the cost of restoring historic buildings. City Council designated parts of Union Street a historic district in March 2015, but 2 years later, Phillips' building was the only one to get the tax credit. He received a $250,000 tax credit. The estimated cost of the entire project was more than $2 million.
This section of the building, in order to meet the historical guidelines, it was very important to them that visually the front of the building does not change much and that other people can't really see the changes. So we didn't go up in height for the first and second floor, but back a ways there's a third floor, and even further back there's a fourth floor. But from nowhere on the street is that evidence to the general public.
As you can see, Phillips Building still needs some work done, but right next door, the Credit Union and 10 West are up and open for business. And if you take a walk down the street, the Union is also back open.
It was 18 months before we were open. I guess now I would say that it went fairly well. It took a lot longer than we thought it was going to take. There's definitely some people that sort of miss the smelly dive bar charm that it was before. And, as much as whether we loved it or not, when it's all brand new, it's going to take a few years to get there.
What you can't see in the renovations to the 160-year-old building are the safety improvements. It's practically a brand new building inside, completed with updated electric, plumbing, sprinkler systems, and fire alarms. As for the other Union Street plans, people get to decide whether they love it or not in a matter of weeks.
We are no longer talking years, we're no longer talking months, we're actually talking weeks for the residential area to open up, and at that point most of this can come down.
Make it to where there's these pockets of space to where people can sit back and kind of just enjoy the world as opposed to rush around and do this, do that, and there's nowhere you can sit and commingle. Sometimes looking like it used to look gets a little tired, but I think this will be good.
And for Eric Gunn, Once the construction barricades that have blocked his business come down, Union Street will rise again.
You know, when you come out here at night and you have this fence outside with a plywood barrier and all this stuff, it's an eyesore, you know what I mean? And it's been an eyesore for years. Hopefully, when school starts next year, this will all be a distant memory. Whatever it turns into will be the way it always was. So that's, I mean, one of the things about Athens and college towns is that because of the turnover, you know, people get used to whatever the new thing is, and here we are.
The fences are expected to come down by the end of the month. Construction on the plaza will begin in May and should be ready for students and the community by fall. And tune into WOUB 2 tomorrow at noon for more in-depth stories like this. On Wall Street today, stocks varied across the board. Here's a look at stocks of local interest. Flu season is in full swing, but the flu shot you got might not be as effective as you thought. That story's still ahead.
And our next chance for precipitation and our weekend cool down is in my extended forecast after the break.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us. Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
The student body here at Ohio University absolutely is a family.
The students support one another.
You become this unit, this big, friendly family unit.
There's this connectedness.
You feel a part of something.
Driving in on the highway and just seeing the red bricks and the trees again, it's just like coming back home.
There's great students, great professors.
You just walk around campus and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I go here.
I feel like I matter in the community, and I feel like I matter here at Ohio University.
It's home. Athens is home.
From the Newswatch Weather Center, I'm Matt Thigpen. We hit a high of 71 today. We cooled down to 70 right now in Athens. See those southerly winds again out of the south at 5 miles per hour. Across our region, we see 67 in Columbus, not 37, like we should be seeing. 71 in Chillicothe, 68 down in Ironton. Across to our region, Ripley at 70 degrees, mid to upper 70s still. 6:30 p.m. Geez, 71 was our high. Broke that record. Should say 2017, 71 degrees, replaced that 68 degrees set back in 1990. Precipcast, we got to watch out for the severe weather coming into our region. We see this low-level jet bringing up moisture from the Gulf of Mexico into the region ahead of our next strong cold front that is giving blizzard conditions across the Midwest. Into tomorrow, you see that cold front slowly move in. By late Friday night, we'll see those storms move into our region late Friday and into early Saturday morning. Strong winds a possibility. 56 for overnight lows tonight. Nice night to go out there and take a walk. Cloudy skies though. 53 in Ironton, 56 in Marietta, and 54 in our cooler spot in Cambridge. For tonight in Athens, we'll see partly cloudy skies here, a few clouds. Be able to see that waning crescent. Chance of a stray shower, but I can't rule it out. 20% chance, not too bad. of a threat tonight. Here's our main threat for tomorrow. Severe storm risk. This is put out by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. See that enhanced risk mainly over western Ohio. Strong storms will develop and they'll continue to push. We're in the elevated risk for severe storms. So if you're out and about, here's our threats for tomorrow. Mild and dry during the day. Evening storms. Our main threat is going to be strong gusty winds. So have any lawn chairs out if you were chilling today or tomorrow. Those high 70-degree weather, you might want to bring those in. 57 at that bus stop. Start our day off. Warm start to the day. Windy morning. We'll start off very breezy. Hour by hour throughout the day. Noontime. As you're heading out to lunch, it'll be 70 degrees. 76 will reach our high. 64 by 4 p.m. If you head out a little early, storms will start to develop to our west. Across most of our region, you see the storms develop across our western region. 75 degrees in Chillicothe, 76 down in Ironton, mid-70s across most of our region. Here in Athens, partly cloudy skies, gusty winds, extended forecast. We cool down right behind that cold front. 48 on Saturday, 46 on Sunday, sunny skies. Get a little break before more rain moves in by the beginning of next work week. 53 degrees, warming back up to 61 on Wednesday, Mackenzie.
Thanks, Matt. If you got the flu shot, listen up. The CDC says this season, more than half the people who got the flu shot also got the flu. Mary Maloney has more in today's Health Minute.
Flu season is going strong. The CDC says the dominant virus strain this season is influenza A, but the vaccine only prevents 43% of cases caused by that strain. The flu shot is better at blocking the influenza B strain. It prevents an estimated 73% of influenza B cases. So if you look at all cases, the flu shot is expected to protect 48%, which is about the same effectiveness as last year's flu shot. The CDC recommends that people 6 months and older should still get vaccinated. Also, wash your hands. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. And stay away from people who are sick, especially since flu season is expected to last several more weeks. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mary Maloney.
The vaccine only prevents 43% of flu viruses. Now let's send it over to Joe for an update in sports.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joseph Payton. Tonight in sports, we'll talk about how the Ohio swim and dive team is doing in Oxford, and we'll also let you know about how the Ohio women's basketball team fared in Buffalo last night. All that and more coming up next on Newswatch, but stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Eric II, the host of Hardwood Heroes. You should watch our program Sundays at 11 o'clock p.m. Any important and relevant information you need about Southeast Ohio high school basketball, we have. During the week, keep up with our online content at woub.org/heroes. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Hardwood Heroes. You can follow your boy as well at junior_3. As always, I'm Eric II, reminding you to be heroic.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back. I'm Joseph Payton. Let's kick off sports with Ohio women's basketball. The shooting struggles that the Ohio women's basketball has faced recently haunted them again last night. Ohio dropped their third straight game 65-54 at Buffalo. The Bobcats, they shot just 30% from the floor and went 7 for 30 from beyond the arc. Buffalo, who's 13th in the NCAA in offensive rebounds, had 15 offensive boards with 13 second chance points. The Bobcats did get a solid effort from their leading scorer, Kiki Lampkins, who registered her 6th double-double last night with 22 points and 10 rebounds. Ohio, they'll be back in action this Saturday against Miami. And the Ohio swimming and diving team began competition in the MAC championships yesterday in Oxford. At the end of day one, the Bobcats found themselves tied with the Miami Redhawks in 4th place. The Bobcats competed in 2 events yesterday, and Ohio finished 6th in the 200-yard medley and then finished the day with the 800-yard freestyle relay in 4th place. They'll start back up tomorrow at 11 in the morning to begin the 500-yard freestyle and the 50-yard freestyle. Now, 4th-year Ohio volleyball head coach Dean Webb announced staff additions yesterday afternoon. Webb has added Rodney Santos as assistant coach and his wife Laura Santos as the director of operations. Both Rodney and Laura come from tenures at Oregon State, but they both have ties to the MAC. Rodney spent 2 years at Bowling Green and another at Central Michigan. Let's move on to some high school basketball now. Last night, the Federal Hawking Lancers were knocked out of the tournament by the St. Joseph Flyers for the 2nd straight season. Last night's 53-28 loss to the Flyers cemented a winless season for the Lancers, but the Flyers, they hit the offensive boards hard, and they were led by junior Chase Walters and senior Zach McGraw. Walters scored 14 points in the win and grabbed 5 rebounds, while McGraw poured in 13 points of his own. The Flyers, they now move on to play Southern next Wednesday for the sectional championship. And guess what? There's more tournament action happening tonight. We've got some girls' games on tap tonight. First, at Waverly High School, Jesse Addis and the Nelsonville York Lady Buckeyes, they'll take on Eastern Brown at 6:15. And then over at Jackson High School, it's a doubleheader with some teams from the SOC and the TVC Hawking. Federal Hawking, they play Notre Dame at 6:15, followed by a matchup between the Eastern Lady Eagles and New Boston Lady Tigers. Now let's move on to the NBA. LeBron James and the Cavaliers, they'll be at home tonight in Quicken Loans Arena to welcome the New York Knicks. That means LeBron's high school opponent and good friend Carmelo Anthony will be in the house. Both James and Anthony, they lead their teams in scoring as the King averages 26 points per game and Carmelo with 23 per game. You can watch tonight's Cavs-Knicks game on TNT, and tip-off, it's scheduled for 8 o'clock. Well, with the NBA trade deadline being earlier today at 3 p.m., you had to think there would be some moves being made, and yesterday the New Orleans Pelicans, they made a move. They received DeMarcus Cousins from the Sacramento Kings.
You know, I'm excited for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I plan on embracing my teammates, this team, this organization, this city. You know, this is home for me now, and you know, I'm extremely excited, so I'm ready to get to work.
You know, he's excited. I'm sure Anthony Davis is excited about his new teammate as well. Well, I'm Joseph Payton. That's all I got for sports. Back to you, Matt.
Quick look at the weather right now. It's at 76 for tomorrow for our high before those storms move in. Cool down for the weekend. Chance of snow showers late Saturday night, warming back up to above seasonal averages by Wednesday. Chance of rain, thunderstorms by the middle of next week. Mackenzie.
Thanks, Matt. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Mackenzie Pyatt. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.